Hi everyone. Today we are going to see details about what is a CMMI and how we are going to implement the CMMI processes into the project as a process consultant. So be with me. It will be a practical guide to understand and implement the capability maturity model. So it's a kind of a framework which we need to analyze the project and then implement into the project, and it is a well known, well accepted framework for the projects, and it is widely accepted, and it will help for the process excellence. So let's move ahead. Let's see what is the CMMI. CMMI stands for the capability maturity model, and I stand for the integration. So as we said that in earlier days, we started this CMMI with CMMI level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it is called as CMMI. That's an integration. So it's a globally recognized framework that helps organizations to improve their processes and deliver consistent high quality outcomes. Whenever we are delivering any kind of a project, we need a consistent or streamlined framework to execute that particular project. What do we mean by the framework is it consists of some kind of a process, and slowly it should be matured, and slowly it should be enhanced within the project so that we can actually achieve the goals of the business. What CMMI provides us that it will provide us as a structured approach to process improvement. So whenever any kind of a project starts, it maybe start with a chaotic or any kind of an ad hoc works, because there isn't any kind of a structured way to execute the projects. It may be a structured, it may be unstructured, but mostly whenever we are starting the projects, it may not be a structured one. We start with any kind of an ad hoc things to do it. Let's say any project we start with the requirement. Any project we start with the different phases like analysis on the business, and then requirement phase, getting the requirements, and then analysis on the requirements, delivering it the requirements into a document which can be understood by the different parties. So this is generally a initial phase of any kind of a project, but we will analyze whether there are any kind of processes involved, whether we are doing it structurally so that it can be a kind of a framework, it can be a kind of a matured way to do it. So what are the patterns into the CMMI? The patterns into the CMMI, it starts from the ad hoc level. It starts from the basic raw kind of a stage, and it can be moved into the matured way, like the processes should be defined, and then we are measuring the processes, measuring the performance, measuring the different matrices. It should be quantifiable, and then we are slowly moving ahead to the level of optimization, and then final stage is like we are predicting the things beforehand before we are executing anything. So these are some kind of processes and the phases of the CMMI. So first of all, first stage is like it's an ad hoc stage, totally unpredictable, totally reactive processes. We are not able to implement any processes. We just start, the people are being put on the project, they are doing the things on their own, they just have a target to complete the tasks. They don't have a method or the way to put that into the framework and complete the task. They don't have anything, they just have a target to complete the task. So they have a deadline, and they go ahead with the task, and then they perform it, and then they complete it. The things are like whether the task is completed, but we will analyze whether efforts which are required are efficient, whether the efforts which we have put are the excess efforts which have gone into the project, whether the risk have been analyzed on the time, and whether we have spent any buffer time, or whether we have spent any access time because of the risks, because of the dependencies. So that there are many questions because of this kind of an ad hoc start within the projects. Now as a process consultant, we have analyzed the project, and then we have decided that there are flaws, there are gaps into the processes. Then we started implementing the processes. How we are implementing? We are bringing up some of the templates to create the documents. We bring up some of the processes which can avoid the repeatable tasks. We bring up some of the automations to some of the tasks. So this particular level of this is second phase, and which is called a structured level. Now this structured level, we are saving up some of the times, because our repeated kind of a tasks are getting eliminated. So ultimately our return of investment is good. When we are putting up the things into the document, which is kind of into the some kind of a template, so high chances is like that we are not missing out anything. We are analyzing the risk beforehand. We have planned in scope and out scope items, because we are structuring it, we are writing it down, and we are formally getting it approved from different kind of stakeholders into the projects. So high chances is that we are not missing out anything. We have a structured way of everything. We are beforehand, we are showing up the risks. We are beforehand getting the mitigation over that particular risk. So it's a kind of a structured way. So this is a second phase of CMMI level. What is the third phase of CMMI level? It is optimized. What do we mean by optimized? Continuous improvement culture we are implementing. Continuous improvement. Though we have eliminated some of the repeated tasks at the phase 2, but we are not stopping there. We are continuously improving on the processes. We are continuously analyzing on the project whether we have any kind of repeated processes in the future. We can implement, we can minimize on that front. We are continuously improvement on the templates. What can we make it better so that we have a highest level of ROI. So this is the kind of a third phase. We are optimizing the things. What are the key benefits of this CMMI level? So if we have to analyze the benefits, it is enhanced the process consistency and predictability. As I said, that processes are implemented, not just implemented. We are consistently following that processes into the project. So the people or the resources or the team members who are into that project, whether it's a lead, whether it's a manager, whether it's a team member, junior team member, senior team member. So all these people are following the processes, and they are following the processes consistently. So the result driven from this consistency is always on good for the projects and the overall customer and the business. Reduce the project risks and defects. At the early stage of the project, whenever we get the business requirements, we analyzing on the business requirements and finding out the defects. Do we have any kind of challenges into the requirements? Do we have any kind of challenges into the business details which are provided? Do we have any kind of challenges into the design documents? Do we have any kind of challenges into the schedule front? Do we have any kind of challenges into the timeline? Do we have challenges into the technical aspects, like are we getting all the necessary tools and everything? So at the initial stage, Any project, we are starting the project with the kickoff meeting. Into the kickoff meeting, multiple stakeholders are getting involved, and we are analyzing that particular project for the risks. We identify the risks, and then we plan for the mitigation of those particular risks. We are not waiting the risks to be occurred. Third benefit is the improved resource allocation and planning. Now we have estimated the projects. We know that how many hours has to be put into the project. What is the skill set which is required? Because in the CMMI level 2, we have a structured approach to the project. We have analyzed, we have estimated everything on the projects. Now what is the next step? The next step is allocating the peoples to the project, allocating the resources to the project. It's all based upon the planning. And for the planning phase, the right estimation, the right risk analysis, the right technical analysis, all these things will help for the right planning, and so that we can allocate the resources rightly into the project. So it will save the efforts, it will save the timelines, it will save the cost. So it is a direct impact on the project. The fourth benefit is increase the customer satisfaction and the trust. Now, until the phase 2 and phase 3 of the CMMI levels, customer knows that we are delivering the deliverables into the structured way. We are delivering our deliverables into the structured way. Customer knows that. Whenever we are delivering any kind of a document, let's say test strategy document, customers knows that how many rounds of approvals have gone through that particular test strategy document. What all things have been changed in each version of the test strategy document. What is the template? How the organization brings up that template? What are the key points which are involved into that particular template? So ultimately, customer gets the sense that this particular process is a structured way. And in the long run, like within the 6 or 8 months, customer knows that people are following consistently. People are following processes consistently. So ultimately, it will increase the customer satisfaction. Customer knows that the organization is on the right track. We are getting the deliverables on the right track. So when the satisfaction of the customer gets on the project, then ultimately at the end it will bring the trust on the organization. This particular organization is working well and delivering good. Next benefit is like better project visibility and control. The higher level, the senior level of the management, whether it's a delivery lead, vice president, or delivery head, delivery managers, or even the project managers, or even the director levels or CEO levels. All these people analyze the project based on the numbers. All these people analyze the project based on the numbers. In the similar way, the higher management from the customer organization, they also wants to analyze the project, but they don't go in detail for the FD. They will not go into the project and talk to the junior team members how he is working on. They just want the numbers, and based upon the numbers, they will analyze the project, how the project is going on. And in the long run, they will see the pattern of how the project is going on, like whether it's going consistently going well, whether it has some kind of an impediments, some kind of an challenges into the project. But that is based upon the data which is coming out of the project, and the process consultant which provides those kind of an data to the senior leadership. So what this makes, this structural data will make a project visibility to the in front of the senior stakeholders. For example, defect density. The defect density number shows that lots of defects are getting into the project. This defect density number, from this defect density number, the higher management will suggest to take the actions on the project. They will have a control on the project on this because of these numbers. They will suggest some of the action to be taken for this defect density. So this is just an example how this project visibility and controls occurs when the structured way is there. The last benefit is like competitive advantage in the marketplace. Whenever you are presenting your organization in any kind of a workshop, any kind of a survey, any kind of an different occasions or in front of customer, sometimes sales teams goes in front of customer, then they definitely tell them what kind of a process we are using, and then customer gives a trust that the project will be completed in a successful manner because of there is a proven strategy to execute the project, and that is a capability maturity model integration framework. Customer knows that it is widely accepted and widely been constructed based upon the different evidences, different projects, different outcomes, different hurdles. So this particular framework has been designed such a way that if some organization follows this framework, then it is a 99% chance that the project will be successful. So if there are multiple companies approaching to the client for the project, then definitely customer will give the preference to that organization which has the CMMI level of certification has been done, because they know that this first certification means we will get the deliverables on time, we will get the deliverables in the quality manner. So these are the benefits of the CMMI. Let's move on the next things. CMMI, how the structure, how actually the structure of the CMMI. One is a model component. Under the model components, we have process areas, goals, practices that form the foundation of the organizational capabilities. What are the process areas? Let's say process area is a planning phase, process area is estimation phase, process area towards the templates of different deliverables, process area towards the DevOps, process area towards the cloud implementation, process area towards the execution of the project, towards the closure of the project, process area towards the operations which are involved after completion of the projects, and the support which is needed. So these are different process areas. So what CMMI suggests, it suggests the structured way based upon these process areas. CMMI suggests based on the goals as well. These goals involve what is the company organization goal, what is the goal of a business, what is the goal of client's organization, and what is the goal at the project level. Project level, we are defining the different KPAs. Different documents are being involved. SOW document is involved, statement of work. So what it contains, what is the goal which has been mentioned into different documents. So depends on those goals, yes, CMMI will suggest you different structural levels. We are following some of the practices like automation. We are bringing up the automation. That automation has some kind of a practice, and automation has some kind of an let's say center of excellence or for testing department brings up the automation into the different projects. So these practices also follow the CMMI levels. They also have a structured way to do that. So these are the model components, and these are particularly the foundation level of the organization. Next thing is maturity levels. Now maturity level starts from the initial to the optimization. What the initial level is, I already discussed that initial levels we have ad hoc level where the project starts. There is no processes there, and slowly it moves on to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. Every level we are increasing the processes day by day, phase by phases. First of ad hoc, then maturity, then quantitative analysis based on the matrices, then optimizing the project, and then predictability. So these are the levels. First of all, no processes, then structured processes, then quantitative analysis with the help of metrics on the processes and get the visibility and control over the processes. Then the optimization of the process. How can we consistently improve upon processes, optimizing these numbers? And the last, the prediction. Prediction is nothing but we are predicting the outcome of the deliverables beforehand, and we are proposing the process improvement beforehand, before occurring any kind of flaws. So these are the maturity levels of this CMMI. What are the key process areas? Critical domains such as planning, monitoring, quality assurance, configuration management. So these are the key process areas of the organization where the CMMI level suggests some kind of an improvement plans and improvement ways. Representation. Representations nothing but the sequential maturity levels. This is the staged representation level. The continuous representation level is a flexible capabilities level by area. This framework doesn't have a fixed kind of a structure for you. If you have good kind of practices, if you have good kind of achievements, if the project or the organization or the people into the project found out something which is very nice, which is saving the efforts, then there is a flexibility into the structure that particular practice can also be optimized into the CMMI level. That's the other thing, is that there are multiple parameters to accept it. But yes, we are accepting those kind of improvements into the project. So there are kind of a flexibility into this. So these are a kind of a structured overview for the CMMI. Let's move on to the maturity levels in detail. So level 1 is initial. This is ad hoc level. Processes are unpredictable. We are not predicting anything here. Poorly controlled, definitely, because we have no structured way. And reactive, definitely it can react because we don't have any kind of control. Success depends on individual heroics rather than proven processes. It may be successful. We have ad hoc things. It may be successful. It may be suitable for any kind of a project, but it is not assured. Anyone cannot, no one cannot assure the thing that it will succeed, because we don't have any kind of a structured framework available on the basis where we can say that we have a control over the project and the project will get success. Let's take an example. Developers work without a clean requirement and deadlines slip frequently. While defining the requirements, we don't have any kind of a structured way, and developers are getting the requirements in ad hoc manner. So they are not aware on like what to develop, how to develop. They don't have any kind of a structured way. So ultimately what it will do, what will be the result? We will slip the deadlines. The things which are developed, which will be go in a wrong way. So these are the some kind of an outputs of the initial phase, initial level of the maturity model. So what we have to do, we have to take the actions to go into the next level. What is the next level? It is a managed. In a managed level of CMMI maturity, projects are planned. Proper planning is there into the projects. The managers who are assigned to the projects bring up the planning stage based upon the different documents, based upon the communication with the different project stakeholders, analyzing the customer engagement and the expectation of the customers. So we have a now plan in place, and this plan will be executed according to the documented processes. We document the processes in form of a document, in form of a SOPs, in form of different kind of process structures. So we execute those processes based upon our planning, our estimation. So basic project management practices are established. Still, it is not a high level structured way. We just bring up the planning to manage the project. So example here is requirements are tracked. Project plan includes scope, schedule, and resources. Now we have a control bring up onto the project. Now, but still we have to move ahead to the next maturity level, and that is the defined. What is the defined level? Level 3 of the maturity model is the defined. Into level 3, processes are well characterized, understood, and described in standards, procedures, and tools across the organization. Now we are not thinking about only the project. We have a wide thinking about the organization. We have to implement these processes across the organization in a similar way. In a similar way, in the sense, in the structured way which is defined by the CMI level. So this is a defined. We are not just implementing the processes, we are understanding the processes, we are describing the standards which are required, small standards which are required for the project, and the procedures we are defining it. What is the example? Example is standard development life cycle applies to all the projects. Peer reviews are mandatory. What is the peer review? One person develops something, other person is reviewing that things. One developer has developed something, other developer is reviewing that things, finding out some kind of a suggestion, suggesting to that particular developer, and then we are going to implement that project. So this is what the defined way. So this is the defined way of the level 3 of the CMI level. Now we are moving ahead to the level 4. What level 4 is? Quantitative management. Now here we are playing with the numbers. Here we are getting the numbers based on the matrices. What kind of a matrices? Whether it is related to the defect, like defect density, that's related to the test case, like test case efficiency, the defects coming out from the test cases, defect coming out from the exploratory testing, or the matrices which are related to the development, the defects coming out from the number of thousands of lines of code. So these kind of a quantitative analysis we are doing on the project. The processes are controlled using the statistical and quantitative techniques. When we get the matrix, we put on the controls over that. If we think that developer is not performing well, we are getting a lot of defect, let's put some control mechanism there. First of all, analyze the root cause. Why it is so? Are they not getting the requirement clearly? Are they not understanding the requirement clearly? Is there any technical gap? Is there any skill gap? So based upon that, we put the control mechanism over there. And there are some of the quantitative techniques as well, which we can analyze on the matrices, and we put the control. Performance is predictable and measurable limits. When we get the numbers, let's say the numbers are very bad and it's gradually getting improved. At some of the time period, we are getting the good numbers. So ultimately we can predict that the process will definitely be good, and the output which we are getting as in performance of the people will be good based upon the numbers. So this is a ROI from that particular thing. What is the example? Defect rates and velocity metrics guide decision making. Based upon the defect rates, rate of the defects coming up, and the velocity metrics, what is the velocity, how the people are working on the project. So this is a quantitative managed level, which is at the number 4. What is the number 5? Number 5 is optimization. Now how we are optimizing the CMMI level? Till the date we have started with initial, we have a managed processor at the level 2nd, we got the control over, then we have a defined, we are well defining the processes. Now at the level 4 we are getting the matrices numbers, and based upon that we are putting up the control over the project. Now what is the level 5? If you are thinking that till the level 4 we have got all the controls on the project, then why it is needed the level 5? But in level 5 there is something very special. In level 5 we are focusing on the continuous improvement processes. How we are doing that? We are doing that through the incremental and innovative technological challenges. Let's bring up the predictability based upon the numbers. Why should we analyze the project based upon the numbers which are coming out after execution of the projects? Why don't we predict that what will be the outcome down the line for the 6 months? Why don't we bring up some of the innovative technologies to reduce the efforts? Put it on the people, give the challenge to the people. Let's bring up something innovative which can reduce furthermore. Let's bring up some kind of an innovative automation. We'll bring up some kind of an tools and techniques. Let's bring up some kind of an enablers which can help the project to get the more efforts into the less time. So these kind of innovations and the predictability comes into the optimization level of 5 into the CMMI level maturity model. Let's take an example here, like the root cause analysis drives the process refinements, automations, which increases efficiency. We're doing the root cause analysis of the project. Let's predict and optimize it. We are bringing up the automation into it. Let's bring up the innovative automation into the project. So these are all optimized way of things which can be bring up at the highest level into the level 5 of the CMMI level. Now let's understand why CMMI matters into the projects. First of all is the process consistency. Standardize the approaches, ensure repeatability results across all project and teams. Bring up a structured level, bring up a framework which can be suitable for any kind of a projects. What I mean is, like if there are development projects, let's bring up a framework which is suitable for all kind of development projects. If it's a support project, let's bring up a framework which is suitable for the support project. So bring up a structured way into the organization so that we can ensure that the process consistency is there into the organization. Increase the chances of getting success into the project. Risk reduction. If initially we are analyzing the risks, then definitely it will avoid the more risks which are coming into the future. That's the proactive identification and mitigation of the issues. We are bringing up this risk reduction initially into the project. Otherwise, what will happen? If the risks are not been handled at the initial level, then it will gradually grow up. At a certain point, it will escalate. The customer will escalate on those risks, because those risks will be turned into the issues. So what CMMI helps? CMMI helps to reduce these risks and to avoid those issues which can be occurred into the future. Enhance planning and tracking. Realistic estimate, clear milestones. What do you mean by the realistic estimate? Everyone is doing the estimation on the project, but are those realistic? Are those nearby the real numbers? I'm not saying that it is a accurate estimate. No one can say that it is accurate estimate. But are those estimates are nearby the realistic numbers? Do we have a clear milestone? We have divided the project into different phases. We have to achieve something on every quarter. So this is what the goal of which has been given by the higher management to the lower management to the leads to the resources onto the projects, the team members. So we now have a clear milestone, what we have to achieve in one quarter. So this is also been established through the CMMI. Transparent progress monitoring throughout the project life cycle. I have defined it. The level 3 we have defined the process. Level 4 we have quantitative analysis. So we get the numbers, and it becomes the transparent on the project, that how the project is going on. If we don't have numbers, if we don't have any kind of a structured way, how can we get what's going on into the project? We will not be having any kind of a control on the project. Quality assurance. Built-in quality checks, validation processes deliver higher quality deliverables. Ultimately, when we have a control on the project, we are implementing the structured ways, the deliverables will also be a quality, and we are delivering the quality deliverables to the customers. Ultimately, we are bringing up the satisfaction of the customers, and it will ultimately brings up the trust on the organization. And that's the customer confidence which every project, every organization needs to bring up, because it will turn up to the longer engagement with that customer. And that's the particular strength which any organization would like to gain through this kind of a good relationship with the customers. Now move ahead and let's see like what process consultant can do to implement this CMMI level. Ultimately, it's the role of the process consultant to implement this CMMI into the projects, because project staff or the team members of a project or the management of the project ultimately puts up their times into the delivery based upon the schedule, based upon the estimation. So who is the person who is analyzing the processes and implementing the structured way of processes into the project? That's the process consultant. Why? Because he is trained on that processes. He is an outside third party who is looking into the project as an area of improvement. So how this process consultants will implement the CMMI level? First of all, he start to assess the current maturity level, how the project is. It is not always possible that the project is at the ad hoc level. Based upon the experiences, some management implement some of the processes already into the project. So it may be possible that project is at the level 1, level 2, level 3. So how we are able to get this idea on the project, that where the project is? By doing the assessment on the projects. So what process consultant has to do? It has to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of existing processes to determine baseline maturity level and identify strengths and weaknesses of the projects. So this is the first assessment the process consultant has to do. So based upon that, the process consultant can analyze at what level the project is. What is the next thing which he has to do? Identify the process gaps. Pinpoint specific areas where current practices fall short of CMMI requirements and prioritize improvement opportunities. Identify those gaps. Yes, the project is following some kind of processes, but there are some kind of a gap. The numbers are not been good there, even if the project is following the processes. So what is the gap there? Identify that and try to implement the maturity level. Next thing which he can do is map to CMMI practices. Align existing workflows with CMMI process areas, goals and practices to create the roadmap of compliance. Whether the people are following the processes, but those processes are not exactly what the process expectation from the CMMI level. But does that mean that process consultant has to advise that stop that process and do whatever I am giving the suggestions? No. Let's bring up that particular process and map that process to the CMMI level. If there are some kind of an improvements to be done, then do that improvements, and let's bring up the level of maturity into the project. Drive adaptation and training. It is not possible that everyone knows what is the CMMI level. It is not possible that everyone is aware of how we have to improve upon the processes and what is the way to improve. So what process consultant has to do? Facilitate workshops, create a training plan to the resources, guide them how to do the processes, guide them what is the importance of following the processes, what can be the outcome of the processes in the future. Work as a coach to the team. So what it will create, like it will get a buy-in from the team. When they will understand why it is needed, then they will support you to bring up those processes into the project, and this will make the process consultant work easy. Once we have done everything, we have implemented processes and everything, what is the next thing? Now monitor the compliance. We have structured processes in place now into the project, but what we need is, we need a consistency. If we want a consistency, what is needed? If you want a consistency, we have to continuously monitor the compliance onto the project. How the process consultant can do that? Conduct the internal audits on the project. Regularly internal audits. Depends on the organizational frequency. If it is a monthly, conduct the audits monthly. If it is a quarterly, conduct the audits quarterly. What is the base of those audits? Level of CMMIs. Get the numbers from the project into the audits. Track those numbers. Analyze those numbers. Give the feedback to the project management, where we are on the project, why the numbers are fluctuating. Give the feedback to the project. How the process consultant gives the feedback to the project. Give the non-compliances to the project. Give the improvement areas. Give the suggestions to the project. And not only give the non-compliances and suggestions, ensure that they are overcoming these hurdles. Ensure that now they have followed the processes and non-compliance has been resolved. So continuously ensure that. Follow up that with the project, so that they can adhere to the processes in future. Foster the improvements. Now this is optimization level. In optimization level, what we are doing, identify the optimization opportunities, whether we can optimize the process, whether we can implement the predictability, whether we can implement the automation, whether we can get the risk beforehand, what is the mitigation plan, how we can implement it, recommend the enhancement, guide the organization towards the higher maturity level. So these all comes into the optimization level, which is the last level of the CMMI level. So with the help of that, we can definitely improve upon. How exactly we can do this? How exactly we can implement all this into the projects step by step? Conduct the initial assessment. Evaluate current processes maturity. Identify baseline capabilities. Analyze the project first. Initial assessment is very necessary on the project. Define the scope and target. Determine which process areas to address and set targets maturity. Give the targets to the project that this is particular process which needs to be bring up into the project, and until and unless we can't improve upon the numbers. Map the existing processes. Align the current workflows with CMMI practice levels. Analyze what process they are following. Assess that according to the CMMI level process. Create a process assets. Develop SOPs. Every time team is doing the same repeatable things, and there is a structured way to do that, to avoid the errors, to avoid a different kind of an flaws or challenges, then do it in a structured way of a SOP. So whenever anyone doing that, give the SOP to that particular person and ask him to follow the processes and execute it. Bring up some kind of templates which are been developed by the organization, the quality department of the organization. Make the checklist, give the guidelines. Train the team. This is also important. Give the trainings to the team by workshops and the hands-on training to all the stakeholders, whether it's a management lead or team members. Deploy into workflows. Create a workflow. How we have to deploy each and every process step by step. Deploy that into the project. Integrate new processes into daily project activities. Daily we have to analyze the project from the analysis perspective, like what could be done as an improvement. Audit and check compliance. Not only the processes, we can check the compliances, whether the data security is being followed, whether the performance is improving, whether the security challenges are there, whether the customer expectations about the security is being followed. So check that compliances, whether that is into the project. How we can do that? We need a regular reviews on the projects for that. Collect and analyze metrics. As I discussed, like we can analyze on the numbers. Analyze those numbers frequently and suggest the improvements. Make an analysis on the trend where the project is going on. Ultimately, we can predict the trend, predict the future numbers from the trend, and it will help to make the decision for the management. Drive the continuous improvement. Regularly try to improvement on the project. If something is gone wrong, analyze that. Bring up lessons learned over that. Why lessons learned is important? To avoid the same thing into the future. Get the best practices. If some other projects are doing something well, bring up that practice into the project. So these kind of an improvement areas are there for the levels. What are the CMMI process areas, key areas for the project execution? It starts with the planning. Very important phase of the project, planning. Until and unless we have a good planning, we will not be able to execute the project in a well manner. So establish and maintaining the plans that define the project activities, estimates, schedules, and resource allocation is very, 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 very important. Do that in a structured way of CMMI suggested practices. Project monitoring and control. This is also an area where we need numbers to monitor and implement the control areas. Track the progress against the plan and taking the corrective actions. Because these corrective actions are very necessary to improve the project frequently, to improve the project consistently. Requirement management. Many of the times we understand that we are not able to understand the requirements from the customer, or even if we understand the requirements, we are not able to percolate those requirements until to the developer, to the tester, and the ambiguity is been created into the project, and that's the reason of the failure of the project. So put up the structured way into the requirement management. Bring up the definition of done correctly. Bring up the acceptance criteria well into the project. Configuration management. This is also a very good area. If one document is been edited by the 100 of people, do we get like who has edited what? It needs some configuration. Same thing in development. If 10 developers are working on the same code, they are changing something. Will we be able to analyze what changes has been done by whom? It will be a kiosk turned into the failure of the project. So bring up a structured way into the configuration management. Every time if developer changing something, he has to check out and put the remarks or put the comments what he has changed. So if other person is doing something, he can quickly get it. Process and product quality assurance, QA processes, to improve the quality on the project. Bring up some kind of a standards to bring up the quality. Measurement analysis. Work on the numbers, sustaining the measurement capability, support the management information needs. So these are some of the key process areas where a process consultant has to work on. Now, what is the practical tools and techniques for the CMMI implementation? Yes, a process consultant has understood like how he has to do, but at the ground level, what is the practical ways he has to do? One way is like bring up the templates, standardize the format of project plans. Any kind of a deliverable which we are doing the delivery to the customer, which should go in a template. Bring up those particular template, whether it's a project management, test strategy document, test plan document, any kind of a document. Bring up a template, give that template to the team, and ask them to prepare that particular document into that particular template only. If there are status reports after completion, after executing something, they are sending the status report. How to ensure that full coverage of entire things are there into the status report? We need a template for the status report as well. Give that status report template to the team, to the project. So templates are very necessary. But the other thing, checklists. If you are telling the team that 20 processes has to be followed, whether they will be follow all the 20 processes. So how do you ensure that? Give them a checklist. They can tick mark on each and every checklist, each and every thing that they are following everything. Step by step verification will be there onto the checklist. What are the examples like code review, design validation, testing, completeness, deployment readiness? These are some areas where we can use the checklist. Risk logs. Identifying and mitigation the risk is very, very important. Bring up the risk log. Risk log has also a kind of a template. Risk log also kind of a format. It is a structured way to register the risk. Mitigation plan. It should be there for every risk. Timeline should be there when the risk has been identified, when the risk has to be mitigated, when the risk has to be, to change the status. We need to identify whether the risk has been closed. So all this tracking and mitigation of the risk should life cycle should be there on the risk logs. Matrix dashboard. I ask multiple times that the number should be there, but how these numbers will we get? We need to have some kind of a dashboards. If we are working on the agile projects, now the tools like Jira is helping. In Jira there are some kind of a dashboards, but we need to configure the dashboard to bring up the numbers, bring up the matrices from that particular project. So these dashboards are very much necessary. At the project level, we have some of the KPAs defined by the management or the organization. To assess those numbers, we need a dashboard. There are different matrices like defect density, velocity, schedule variances, quality times. So all these numbers, we need a dashboard. SOPs and workflows. As I said, that repeated processes needs to be put into the SOPs given to the any member to follow. Workflows, need to set up the workflows, how to execute the work. Standard procedures should be there into the project. Defined way on the repeatable processes. So all these activities are needed at the practical and the ground level, which the process consultant has to do. Finally, we are discussing what are the different challenges which process consultant to get while is implementation into the project. So these are the common challenges which have been seen across the organization, across the project. The first challenge is the team resistance. Team has very much pressure of the deliverables. They have to deliver the things in a quicker way, in a quicker time. They are putting up the time on the projects. They are working in overtime. Why they want to follow the process? Because process takes the time. Why they want to take the additional burden on them? This is a challenge. If they are thinking this is overhead, then what the process consultant should do? Process consultant should give the solution. How he can give the solution? Communicate with the team. Give the clear benefits of the structured way. Show them that if they follow the processes, it will be helpful for them only. It will reduce their work. It will reduce their efforts. It will reduce the ambiguity into the project. It can avoid the escalation by the customer. How we can do that? Involve the team early into the projects, into the processes. After the kickoff meeting, start implementing the processes. Demonstrate the quick wins, small things. How we have achieved this, how we have win the things there. It can boost their confidence. It can improve their way of looking at the processes. Show them that how processes have avoided the conflicts and the confusion into the projects. What is the second challenge? Second challenge is the lack of awareness. Now these type of projects are people want to implement the process, but they don't know how to implement the process. They don't understand what is the CMMI. They don't understand what is the TMI. They don't understand what is the ISO process. So this is a process consultant job to give the knowledge about the CMMI. Give a training, take kind of workshops for the teams. Give them real-time examples how to implement the project. If that project is inconsistent on the required resource front, if the new resources are joining frequently, then make some guideline document, and whenever a new person joins, give that guideline documents to them to understand the processes. Excuse me. So these are some of the ways the process consultant has to do. The third challenge is time constraint, and it is a frequent challenge which I shown into the project. We have to implement process, but we don't have time. We want to implement process, but we don't have time. Tight deadlines are there. Customer want the delivery tomorrow. No room is there for processes. You will not be able to implement any activities. So how to deal with this challenge? Now don't pressurize or don't burden. Don't give the burden to the team. Implement the incremental processes. Slow by slow develop the processes. Don't give all at once. Don't give a goal of going to the level 5 on the in the 1 week. Slowly, incrementally implement the process there. Keep their existing workflows which are going on and add something else, add some more, so that it can bring up to the level of maturity. To reduce the work, implement the automation into the project. Suggest them to implement the automation, which can reduce their burden easily, and which the tight deadlines can be followed easily. Give them prioritization. The high important areas should be focused first, then medium, then low. So do these kind of things there, and slowly, gradually implement all the processes. And this way, the complete CMMI level processes can be implemented into that project. So this is our overall, like, what is the process consultant role, how he can implement the processes into the projects, how he can bring up any project to the level 5, how he can contribute the organization to bring up the processes, to bring up the organization to the level 5, and in a good way, in a reality sense, the organization can be matured. I hope this particular training would have changed your mind. I hope this particular training bring up the things which the process consultant has to do for the level 5 CMMI level 5 levels. So if you like this, kindly like the video, subscribe the channel, and forward this particular video to the next person who is in the need. Thank you very much.